talk about Bryce Young and why I believe he will have a breakout year in his second year with the Carolina Panthers. I'm not saying that Bryce Young will be a top 5 to top 10 quarterback in the NFL, but he showed a lot of good things on film that I liked a lot. We're going to take a look at some of the plays on film and some of the things that were going on the field as well that did not help out Bryce Young. For one, he was the second most sacked quarterback in the NFL. He got sacked 62 times. And a lot of that is because the offensive line protection was no good and the play calling was no good either. Frank Reich was a terrible head coach and a terrible play caller. And I really wish it could have worked out because on paper, the Carolina Panthers had a crazy coaching staff, but it didn't work out. Frank Reich is no longer here. You bring in a brand new head coach and Dave Canales, who has had a lot of good success in the past with working with Baker Mayfield, as he was just the former offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Did a very good job over there with working with Baker Mayfield and scheming up guys like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin to get open. As a matter of fact, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won a playoff game with him calling plays. And they put up a lot of points on the Philadelphia Eagles. Granted, the Philadelphia Eagles defense was bad, but he helped Baker Mayfield get his career back on track. Number 2, he went out there and he worked with Russell Wilson as well a couple of years before. He was a former quarterbacks coach and pass game coordinator as well. So he knows a thing about wide receivers. So he can go out there and scheme these guys open. And you love to see that for the Carolina Panthers. For one, these wide receivers cannot get open. Now, granted, terrible system. Yet again, they ran a lot of slants, a lot of in-cut routes. It showed a lot of good for Bryce Young because he can throw over the middle of the field. That's one positive. Usually with undersized quarterbacks, they can't see over the middle of the field. Bryce Young can. The bad side of that was this. They're one-dimensional. So cornerbacks and safeties, they just say, hey, just play the inside. Let's just shade the inside. And if you're going against an in-face corner, that's a terrible situation that you're being put into. And that's a terrible situation that you're putting Bryce Young into. And if they did not run slants or in cuts, they ran a lot of screens. And I mean a lot of screens, a lot of screens. From week 1 through week 6, 42% of the plays were screen passes. Makes 0 sense. 0. And Frank Reich gave play calling duties to Thomas Brown. The play calling wasn't any better. They're not able to score an offensive touchdown when he was calling plays. Neither one of the guys were good offensive coordinators. But at the same time, the talent wasn't at best on the field either. You see, the Carolina Panthers offensive line was dealing with injuries all season long, especially in the interior. They had Chandler Zavalia going out there and being a starting guard. Bless his heart, he was no good. But they went out there in free agency and they tried to go out there and fix this thing. You bring in Damian Lewis, a very good guard from the Seattle Seahawks. And you also went out there and you bring in Robert Hunt as well, a very good guard from the Miami Dolphins. And you may say, hey, why are they just bringing in guards? Why aren't they bringing in tackles? For one, Taylor Moton is a very good tackle still. He is getting older, but he was arguably the best offensive lineman. Matter of fact, not even arguably, he was the best offensive lineman with the Carolina Panthers this season. Austin Corbett did not look the same when he came back from that knee injury, but he did look solid at times. He will now be the brand new center with the Carolina Panthers. You have Ickey at the left tackle position. Thing is with Ickey, you want to give him more time. This is your number 3, but he has not looked good so far. He's been a bit disappointing. 12 sacks allowed on the season. So the reason why I didn't bring in tackles are because the guards were so bad and you want to build your offensive line from the inside out. The reason why you want to do that is because Bryce Young is undersized. He can't see over certain pressures. When they're getting pressure towards the middle, he can't see over those taller defensive linemen because he is an undersized quarterback. And we saw that against the Tennessee Titans and against the Green Bay Packers. But we saw him be able to go out there and escape the pocket against the Tennessee Titans, as you see right now on your screen. He was able to go out there and get a couple yards for himself. That's a good thing for Bryce Young. He's not an amazing athlete like a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen, but he can escape the pocket and he can avoid sacks as well. The one notion on Bryce Young coming into the NFL draft, how will he handle pressure? Can he go out there? Can he break tackles? He can. Now, he's not going to do it to the same degree of a guy like a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen because he is undersized, but he can shake some guys in space and he can create some plays behind the line of scrimmage, and we got to see that. You can also see it again right here against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He just leads DJ Chark up the middle of the field. DJ Chark, well, on the side of the field, you see DJ Chark right here, open for a touchdown. He fumbles the football. That's not on Bryce Young. But Bryce Young showed a lot of good. So to go out there and fix that offensive line, you want to put him into a situation to where he doesn't have to do this. That's putting extra stress on a rookie for no reason. You're already dealing with terrible play calling and wide receivers that can't get open. And you're also dealing with an offensive line that can't protect you. Not too many quarterbacks will succeed in that system. And the same can go for a guy like CJ, Anthony Richardson, or Will Levis. I can make the case that Bryce Young was put into the worst situation in that rookie quarterback class. So his numbers weren't going to be good at all. So 11 passing touchdowns and 10 interceptions, those are horrible numbers. But when you're the second most sacked quarterback in the NFL and you don't have a run game, that is going to happen. And when your wide receivers are a bottom 3 team in terms of separation, that is going to happen. And you also dealt with drops in the season as well. Now, Bryce Young isn't just innocent. He missed a lot of throws this season. There were some layups, easy throws in the flat, easy throws on slant patterns. It seemed like he got a bit excited when guys were getting open. His true completion percentage was 68.5%. That was 29th in the NFL. That's not good. You want to see that go up. But with better playmakers like Deontay Johnson and Xavier Legette, you hope that that will be the case. And it brings me to that wide receiving room before we get more into Bryce Young. You're bringing in weapons like Xavier Legette, who reminds me a lot of DK Metcalf. He's a freakish athlete, 6'3", 227 pounds, 71 catches for 1,255 receiving yards on the season, 17.7 yards a catch. He is a beast. He's a big target that Bryce Young can get the football to in goal line situations, and also he can create space on his own. Sometimes you just want guys to go out there and just get open. You say run a go route, just get past his corner, get on top of cornerbacks. He did that in his last season in college. Deontay Johnson, you made the trade to get him from the Steelers. Very good wide receiver. Has dealt with some drops early on in his career, but he can go out there and separate. And this is the one thing about him and Xavier Legette. They can make moves after the catch. Adam Thielen was the only receiver that could do that. No offense to Jonathan Mingo, he did some of that, but he struggled on in his rookie season. The thing is with Deontay Johnson, he can juke and make moves in space. He can do some spin moves as well to get you an extra 5 to 6 yards. And that's going to help out Bryce Young as well. He doesn't have to take those deep shots down the field over and over again to get those big splash plays. Now you can call a screen play to a guy like Deontay Johnson, who has very good athleticism and can make moves in space. So you want to call some more screens, you can do that with the rapport that you have right now in that wide receiving room. It's better than having Marshall Jr. out there who has not been a good wide receiver. That kid may be cut before the season starts. And the reason why I say that, he's a wide receiver that you drafted from LSU. He was a Joe Brady guy. He has not looked good. Even with Joe Brady, he did not look the best. He looks confused on the field, and he's dropped some passes as well. He just does not look good for the Carolina Panthers. And I think with names like Xavier Legette, Jonathan Mingo, and Deontay Johnson being on the roster, he's not going to get that much playing time at all. And you have Adam Thielen as well. So now you have a situation where you just put Adam Thielen in the slot all the time, because Adam Thielen is a better slot wide receiver in this stage of his career than he is an outside wide receiver. And the thing is with Adam Thielen, he had some success this season as an outside wide receiver. It's the reason why he had over 1,000 yards receiving this season. Now, they did force feed the hell out of him, but at the same time, this is a guy that has great hands. I mean, very good hands. And he can still be a polished route runner and at the speed of how today's game is being played. So I like having Adam Thielen around as well. Essentially, the dream situation is to have Xavier Legette and Jonathan Mingo look like beasts on the field. Adam Thielen has 1 year left on his contract, and the same with Deontay Johnson as well. The future of this wide receiving core is Xavier Legette and Jonathan Mingo, and I think they'll be in a very good situation. You no longer have Hayden Hurst at the tight end spot. You're bringing in Sanders, a very good tight end from Texas. This is a kid that showed that he can go out there and stretch the field. 607 receiving yards on the season, 15 yards a catch. He could be a huge receiving target. But right now, we have Dave Canales is saying that they want to run the football as much as possible with guys like Chuba Hubbard. Go out there and work him into play action situations and still try to get the football to guys like Tommy Tremble or Ian Thomas if need be. But more so back to the film with Bryce Young. It was so much that you look at that this kid had to deal with on film. He rarely had time in the pocket. He threw a beautiful ball deep down the seam to Ian Thomas, as you see right here. Straight down the seam, throwing him wide open. He just was able to come down with it. And look, drops happen. These players are not AIs, but you have to come down with that. That's a beautiful throw by Bryce Young. You also look at certain situations against the Detroit Lions to where he is not patient at all, and he's just throwing the football down the sideline and it goes for an interception to a hung corner. You then see those type of things happen in college because it's a learning curve to the NFL. Now, does he have the biggest arm to get away with throws like that to where you just throw it in the zip? No. Bryce Young is more so known for his anticipation and his playmaking ability. That's why he went first in the NFL draft. And we got to see some of the playmaking ability already in this video. The thing that I want to focus in on with Bryce Young, the play action percentage was 51.1%. That was 25th in the NFL. That is with them having a bottom run game in the NFL. If they can just have a above average run game, that play action percentage is going to go up. As a matter of fact, I wish they would have called more play action plays with Bryce Young. They're in the bottom of the league in terms of just calling play action plays in general. And I understand they could not run the football, but you can't call a defense's bluff. And when they did do that, Bryce had some open wide receivers on the field. Frank Reich just didn't want to do that in the first half of the season, which made zero sense. And you also look at the clean pocket percentage. 61%, that was 33rd in the NFL. He has to clean up some of those plays. He's missing a lot of layups. Slant routes he's missing. Flat routes he's missing. You have to hit on those, especially if it's a 3rd and 1 or a 3rd and 2. You have to complete those plays, because they're not going to run Bryce Young like he's Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. You have to get some of those easy plays, because that can go out there and that can change a whole course of a game. If it's a 3rd and 3 or a 3rd and 4, he has to convert on those throws. The last 3 weeks of the season, he did better, but it's more than just 3 games in the NFL. So he has to clean up some of those easy plays as well when it's talking about just being in a clean pocket. His pressure completion percentage was 53%. That was 21st in the NFL. That is better than some of the guys in the NFL that are top quarterbacks. He did very good with pressure, and he did very good against the blitz as well, by just throwing the football away or by just getting the football to certain guys and just trying to sidearm the throw. The thing is with Bryce, he is undersized. So if a blitz is coming in his face and defenders are on top of him, he's just going to put the football in the ground. And that's a smart thing to do, because he can't see over these guys. He's not going to make the crazy plays like how Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes can make, because he is on the smaller side. And the same thing is being said for Kyler Murray and for Russell Wilson. The thing is with Kyler Murray, he has so much more juice than Bryce Young. He can get away from those sacks. I said that Bryce Young has very good playmaking ability. It's not elite playmaking ability. You don't want to just put the kid out there to just make it up his own plays behind the line of scrimmage. You don't want to do that. Then you're going to be talking about putting him into a terrible situation. They tried to do that against the New Orleans Saints early in the season. He ended up being on his head. That's what you don't want to see happen. So you want to put him into a structured offense. They can work off the run game and just have everything down to a system right now. So the positives with Bryce Young, anticipation is good. The medium accuracy, 15 and 20 yards down the field, is damn near perfect. Picture perfect, as you saw that throw to Ian Thomas. The one thing about Bryce Young that I really don't like that he's going to have to clean up is the deep ball. His deep ball is not good. I know some people may say, well, he's dealing with pressure majority of the time. That can be the case. But when he was open in the pocket, and a wide receiver was open deep down the field, the deep ball did not look good. His deep ball completion percentage was 23%. That was 34th in the NFL. 34th. He has to clean that up. And it's too many times where I see him trying to connect on the deep ball. He's putting his whole body into it because he doesn't have the strongest arm. He doesn't have a horrible arm. I would say that it's an average arm that he has right now. He doesn't have that rocket, but he's trying to put his entire body into it. And when you don't have the offensive line to do that, you shouldn't be calling deep shots to begin with. But I can see a lot of times on film that Jonathan Mingo was wide open against the Saints, and he's just underthrowing the football, or he's overthrowing the football. He doesn't have that accuracy just yet down pat. And it's too many times that it skips in the air because he can't just solely rely on his arm. He tries to put his body into it. And if someone touches him, they put a hand on him or they push him around, then the ball just goes completely off his course. They need to clean up on that. Once again, hopefully the offensive line protection can help out with that, and Dave Canales can help out with that as well. The one thing I will say about that, the counter argument to the deep ball accuracy, you're not going to call that many deep shots in a game in the first place, even with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. How many deep shots are actually schemed up? You get a lot of them off of blown coverage, and we saw it against the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers for Bryce Young. But how many times are you going to look on film and say, Andy Reid called 15 deep shot plays in the game? It's not going to happen. Realistically, you may get 5 to 6 with the Miami Dolphins, and that's with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, some of the fastest wide receivers in the NFL. So they're not going to put Bryce Young to a situation where he has to throw the football 40 and 50 yards down the field over and over again. And you should not be relying so much on the deep ball to begin with because of weather and just other things that are going on as well around the quarterback. The ideal situation is 20 to 30 yards down the field for Bryce Young, and he has very good accuracy in those ranges. But I like what the Carolina Panthers have. It is going to be a better situation for this kid. If he cannot succeed in his second year, then you can have questions about moving on from Bryce Young. But I will say this as well. He's entering a brand new system for the second time in his career already. Give Dave Canales time, give Bryce Young time, but I do believe that Bryce Young will be a very good quarterback and he will be a breakout player for the Carolina Panthers. I'm not going to compare him to CJ. I'm not going to compare him to Will Levis, I'm not going to compare him to Anthony Richardson. I'm just going to say this about Bryce. He just has to be the best quarterback that he can be. And if it's not good enough, they can move off of Bryce Young. But I do believe you give him more time. Do what the Jacksonville Jaguars did many years ago with Trevor Lawrence. They fired Urban Meyer. They made the playoffs in the second year underneath Doug Peterson. I'm not saying that they're going to make the NFL playoffs with Dave Canales, but they are expected to go out there and at least win 6 or 7 games for this upcoming season, especially with that defense and how great that defense has been over the last couple of years. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about Bryce Young and can he fully break out with the Carolina Panthers? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thank you for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.